Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of English in Practice. It's Kareem with you, your English teacher. Today we'll learn some phrasal verbs. But these phrasal verbs are different from the ones we have learned so far, as each one of these phrasal verbs consists of 3 words. Keep watching to understand what I'm talking about. The first phrasal verb on today's list is get back at. This phrasal verb means to take revenge on someone because they did something wrong to you or they hurt you some way. Let's have examples to understand what that means. Example 1. My brother got back at me for wearing his shoes. He stole my hat. Example 2. Jack spent his summer lifting weights to get back at the kids who bullied him at school. The first example means that I did something wrong to my brother. I hurt my brother some way, so he had to get back at me, which means he had to punish me or to take revenge on me for hurting him or doing something wrong to him. In this case, I did something wrong, which is wearing his shoes. That's why he had to get back at me, or according to the example, he got back at me in the past, so that means he punished me by stealing my hat. In the second example, we have the same phrasal verb which is expressing the same meaning, but this is a different case. The example is talking about Jack who was bullied at school. That's why Jack decided to exercise during summer to become stronger and get back at those kids, which means to be able to punish those kids or to revenge himself on those kids for bullying him at school. The second phrasal verb on today's list is grow out of. This phrasal verb is similar to the other phrasal verbs we studied before, in that it can express different meanings in different contexts. Let's have examples to study these meanings. Example 1. It's normal for kids at this age to stammer. Jack will grow out of it. Example 2. We have to buy a new pair of shoes for Jane because she grew out of them. Example 3. The decision of banning phones grew out of the students' misuse of their phones. The phrasal verb is the same in all the sentences, but it expresses a different meaning in each example. Let's discuss these meanings. In the first example, the phrasal verb grow out of means to stop doing something or stop a certain behavior. So our example is talking about something, or let's say a type of behavior that is normal for kids at a certain age. Now, in our example, Jack is a child, and Jack stammers. To stammer basically means to speak with difficulty, to hesitate or repeat sounds while speaking. So Jack stammers, and the example says that Jack will grow out of it, which means Jack will stop doing this, will stop this behavior, will stop stammering. In other words, Jack will speak more appropriately in the future or when he grows up. In the second example, the phrasal verb grew out of is the past tense of grow out of, and it has a different meaning in this context. To grow out of an item of clothing means to become too tall or too big to fit this item of clothing. So our example means that we have to buy new shoes for Jane because Jane, who is a child in this example, has grown up, which means Jane doesn't fit this item of clothing anymore. To be more precise, her feet are too big to fit the shoes that she has right now. So we need to buy her new shoes. In the third example, the phrasal verb grew out of, which is again the past tense of grow out of, means to develop or originate from. So as you can see, it has a different meaning in this different example. The example means that students have been using their phones inappropriately instead of using them to study or do research. That's why the school decided to ban using mobile phones at school. Now, we said in the example that this decision grew out of the students' misuse of their phones, which means that this decision originated from or developed from the way the students have been using their phones. The fourth and last phrasal verb on today's list is put up with. Now, to put up with something simply means to tolerate it or to accept it. And usually this thing is unpleasant. It's a bad thing. It's a bad situation. Let's have examples. Example 1, Jane is unhappy with her marriage, but she has to put up with it for the sake of her son. Example 2, Jack has a lot to put up with in his new job. In the first example, we are talking about Jane who is married, but she's not happy with it. She's not happy with her marriage. It's a very bad situation. She, let's say, is suffering because of that marriage. But she has to put up with it, which means she has to accept this bad situation for the sake of her son, because she doesn't want her son to suffer the consequences of his parents' divorce. In the second example, we basically have the same meaning. Jack has a lot to put up with in his new job. This example means that Jack got a new job, and we, as his friends, believe that this job is really difficult for Jack. So we believe that he will face a lot of difficulties. He has to accept a lot of annoying situations, irritating cases in his new job. Today, we learned some phrasal verbs that all consist of 3 words. We learned their different meanings and how to use them in different contexts. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you very much. Stay safe.